On today's edition, we are swinging into the areas of law and fundamental human rights of men. And lately, we have seen deliberation from the House of Representatives and Senate on social media. I mean social media bill. The plan of this deliberation is to regulate the social media circle in Nigeria and how it is used for expression of public opinion. Prior to this Senate, will I say, contention on social media bill, Nigeria witnessed the uprising of the youth against bad governance, which emanated from the EndSARS movement and protest. This campaign, amongst other things, showed that the potentials of the youth in Nigeria and the possibility of changes that can be made by them through the use of voice and the right of their powers. In response to this, the government is planning to regulate the social media space. The youth, in reaction to this plan, have unleashed their anger against this proposition by the government, with a lot of controversies on why, what, and how the social media should be regulated. To discuss this topic with me is a female lawyer, a reputable and distinctive representative for the Nigerian Bar Association. She was the former chairman of NBA Ikere Ekiti, that steered the affairs of the body for 2 years tenure from 2018. She was recently appointed as a member of the committee to look into the electoral process of NBA. She is Mrs. Oludayo Olorunfemi. Welcome, Mrs. Oludayo. It is great to have you via our phone lines today.
Thank you very much, Ike.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for doing this with me. But first thing first, how are you doing? Hope you've been keeping safe.
Yes, I'm fine. I was just remarking to someone earlier today that COVID is still very much around. So keep safe and maintain all the COVID regulations and guidance. So
all right. Well, thank you for reminding us, and that's true. COVID is still very much around. So, aside the brief introduction I just made of you, can we meet you more after the brief introduction I made earlier?
I don't know what you want me to say, but I'm a lawyer.
Okay.
I'm very passionate about women's rights issues.
Okay.
I'm also a student, so I'm constantly learning.
Okay. All right.
Social media, and I am very active on social media. I try my research area includes how social media is changing the narrative around gender stereotypes and things like that. So yes, I'm interested in social media.
All right. So before we go into the business of the day, it's important for me to ask you certain things regarding your background. Since you started the journey of law, what has the call of law been for you thus far?
Well, the popular saying that lawyers are married. And so you've gone through the 5 years university process of becoming a law graduate, to then go to the law school and then got called to the bar. It's a very rigorous training process. So it teaches you to think critically, helps you problem solving. And so generally it's a good tool to have as you navigate through life. And in all aspects of life, there's a need for law and for lawyers. People say waiting lawyers they do self, but generally we tend to wait until we're in trouble before we talk to our lawyers. And I always say to people that the time to talk to your lawyer is when there's peace. If you engage your lawyer before you sign the dotted line, even when you are going into a business, find out, let your lawyer guide you through the process. The laws are clear, but sometimes you need someone to guide you, to help you understand and to be able to interpret the laws. So yes, law is a very important aspect of life. They also help us to maintain law and civil society. Anyway.
All right.
So law is, I don't think I'm doing anything else.
That's a nice one. So at least you know what you're called for, your passion. So going straight to the business of the day, according to Alhaji Lateef Olufemi Okunu-san, said that the Nigeria we have today is in decline, and the elders must pave way for the youth to rebuild our nation. From the angle of the older generation, do you think they are going to really pave way for the youths?
Yeah. When we talk about youth and paving way, I don't think there's a point in time where someone will press a button and say stop.
Okay.
And then next thing will be play, and then somebody else comes to take over. The violence take it by force. Young people, a country like Nigeria that have a large population of young people, it's to our advantage if we harness the strength of and energy and ideas that young people have. The country is better for it. So, and there are lots of young people who have great ideas on how to move this country forward. So, the older generation needs to understand also. It's a balance. Yeah, I mean, they're saying something about Goldberg, Oludayo the other time. Yoruba is such a beautiful language, and it has lots of proverbs and idioms that express that guide society and living. So the one of the popular saying is you understand? So
yes.
It's the balance of the two. We won't say that the old people should step aside completely. And when you say old too now, you have to be relative. Because we need institutional memory, we need the history, we need to be able to understand what the process that got us to where we are. And we also need the energy and the passion of the youth to push us to the next level. So it's a balance of the two. We don't want the old people to think that young people trying to take over means that they are no longer relevant. That's not it. We need a good balance of both the young and the old. The young people can run around, they have the energy. The old people can critique the ideas of the young people and say, no, well, this is what you think you want to do. Maybe why don't you look at it this way? Because in 1914, for instance, we did it this way, and this is the result that we got. But now you're proposing that we do it. So we need to find a balance. Besides, we're all citizens of Nigeria. We all have a stake in the country. So both the young and the old have a stake in Nigeria progressing and Nigeria moving forward. So what we need to find is a good mix of the old and the new. So if we both, that's what we need to find so that we can move the nation forward.
All right. Thank you for that submission. Listening to you and you're talking about synergy between the young and the old and the youth taking it by force, I can't help but ask this question. How are the youth going to coordinate the structure and the position themselves for leadership, considering the contingencies and opposition at hand in our country?
But they're already doing that. I mean, there's no sector in the country now that you don't have young people excelling despite all the hardship and the difficulty of earning a living in Nigeria. Classic example, Nollywood is an industry that started from zero.
Yes.
And it's in an internationally acclaimed industry now. Was built by young people. If you look at the ages of the people who started producing movies and acting, writing scripts and all, they're all young people. They are still young people. And they made a mark in that industry, with or without God. So really, if there's a will, there's a way. That's my attitude to things like that. Young people look at venture capital and what people are doing in tech in Nigeria. These are young people. Okay. So young people are already making a way for themselves, with or without help from government or from the older people. But what the older people and government they also need to do is to say, wait a minute, if these people are doing this much without us, how much more can they achieve when we are all singing from the same page?
Absolutely. So let me use this opportunity to quickly open our phone lines. Please join us by calling the phone line 0700 923 923 923, or you can send us a message on our WhatsApp line 0817 313 6193. Let's hear your perspective of the topic at hand. If you have questions for our guest, please go ahead and hit us with your queries. So, ma'am, listening to you, there are two houses of representative that are currently deliberating on the regulation of social media with a view to passing a bill on to it. The Christian Association of Nigeria kicks against the regulation of social media. Should it be regulated? If it should be, how and what should be regulated?
Well, like I told you, I use social media quite a lot, and I think everybody should get on to using social media.
Yes.
Media, even traditional media and social media are all agents of socialization. And what social media has done is that it has connected the whole world together.
Yes.
So you find people shaping the narratives and changing discussions and making contributions to issues globally from the comfort of their home in Atlanta or Kuala Namuda or Ibadan or Russia, Australia. Everybody's connected. And this has made a lot of people uncomfortable because things that are not in the public domain before, with your phone now, you can record almost anything and you put it out there.
Absolutely.
So it's like whistleblowing times 10. Everybody's business, and everybody's calling everybody to attention. And that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And they have valid reasons to be uncomfortable. But the fundamental thing is that we have the freedom of expression, we have freedom of association. I mean, as human beings, you have the freedom to express yourself. So I do not support the regulation of social media. Rather, we already have existing laws that can correct or bring to book people who you think have erred in the use of social media. So, for instance, if somebody puts out a libelous post or defames someone's character by their tweet, we have laws that can cover that. If the laws need to be reformed, maybe, yeah. But we cannot say that we now regulate what people can tweet or what people can have access to on social media. You know, you think you're curbing one goal, in quotes, not good in quotes, because you are saying the citizens will not be able to call out their public officials. If you realize the people who are saying that social media should be regulated are people in positions of power, maybe government officials, so to speak. And they forget that position, they are only those positions in trust for the people. And so if someone is representing you at the Senate or at the House of Reps, and you're supposed to be going there to represent the constituency, should the people not want to know what's happening there? Should the people not want to know, are you giving them quality representation? Are you doing what they expect you to do? And if you're not, can they not ask questions? You know, some of these people, before the advent of social media, you had no access to them until it was time for election, when they went down and canvass for votes and all that, and then for the next 4 years, that's it. But now on social media, everybody has a social media presence. Even the president of Nigeria has a Twitter handle. People can engage them directly. People can tweet at them. People can send them DMs. People can raise questions and say, can you explain why you're doing this? Look at the NSAS process and how much fallout that has brought. So really, yes, the other part is the fake news and all that. But I say to
false information.
Yes, and false information. The way to counter fake news and false information is to tell the truth. The fact, you cannot take away from the fact. You can't add to it. You can't remove from it. The truth is constant. The truth is the truth. What happened is what happened. So if you are open with communication and you are proactive in engaging the citizens, then you will not be afraid of false information, because clearly the people have built to trust, and they know that if a government official is saying this, then that is what actually happened. And they don't need to second guess or come out with this controversy, all kinds of conspiracy theories and propaganda. So yes, there's a need for transparency and openness that will help to curb the issues of fake news and false information.
All right. You know, I from another angle, you know, it is perceived that the government is bent on denying the citizens the right of expression and the will of Nigerians to criticize bad leadership by introducing the hate speech fine. Now they want to regulate social media. What conclusion can withdraw from the actions of the government and the right of the citizen in terms of freedom of expression?
Well, I think some of the time we over sensationalize some of these issues.
Okay.
These laws have not been passed.
Yes.
Have you?
No, it's not.
Of the House.
Yes.
It's still on the of the House. And I'm sure there's going to be public hearing, and we all have representation at that House that will pass. So we need to engage with our representatives and let them know. For instance, by the honorable representing my constituency, what is your view about this bill?
All right, ma'am, can you please hold your thoughts, please? We have your caller on the line. What's your name and where are you calling from, please?
Good evening, Speaker and the barrister there.
Okay, good evening.
My name is Godwin.
All right, what's your contribution today?
Yes, my contribution, and you see, I want the social media to be free to everyone. I don't want the federal government to kick against it. So we want to have our free way to say our mind to the world. That's it. Thank you.
All right, many thanks for your contribution on the show today. Yes, ma'am.
So I mean, sometimes we just what the Yorubas will say, we are dying before the death has arrived. This thing has a house. It's just an idea that's muted. So, for instance, the person sponsoring the bill is representing a constituency. The people there need to engage with their representatives and say, wait a minute, or senator or House of Reps person, why are you supporting this bill? What is the end game? And engage the process. And civil society also, people, stakeholders in the Project Nigeria, would to speak up so we don't sleep on our rights and then start complaining after the deed has been done. And I mean, social media, for instance, during this pandemic, the COVID period, you see how much it's been used to draw attention to issues, even gender-based violence issues, and you see how young people are engaging issues of governance, issues of gender rights on social media and changing the narrative, socializing people differently, changing our orientation, engaging our values. We cannot deny that it doesn't have the downside, but the upside outweigh and outnumber the downside.
All right, thank you for that. Listening to you, I think I will not forgive myself if I don't ask you for your opinion or your views regarding the question I want to ask you now, because I know the ongoing election in America is a global concern because of the influence of U.S. Presidency on global matters. So, as a lawyer who is well read, well exposed, what kind of precedent can we expect from the outcome of this election?
Well, the question is very funny.
Yes.
I deliberately am not following the election because for my own well-being and mental health, I cannot be stressed.
Okay. And why is that?
I remember how much I followed
Hillary Clinton.
Last cycle.
I can relate to that.
And the disappointment. Yeah. But the election in the US is very interesting, and the process, we have an electoral college that you have to have a majority, and then there's a popular vote and all of that. And there are states that they call the battle states, where both candidates have to really dig it out to make sure that they get to the majority of the votes in those areas. And we had President Trump say that counting should stop and that he be declared the winner. But the process is still ongoing. And we've seen, even on social media, and I'm sure you've seen, President Trump is very, very active on Twitter.
Yes.
And and not one day, even when he tweets things that are regarded as falsehood or is being economical with it, you find the citizens engaging him and saying, "Oh, this is not what is. This is what should be," and all of that. And not one day have they said, "Oh, this was the great social media," because people are calling the president out for not stating things as they are, or painting a picture that is not actually in reality. Life is going on. Because the truth of the matter is, everybody has a right to express themselves. I mean, if you do social media ban, what next are you going to do? Are you going to be able to then say that people cannot have certain conversations within their houses or within public spaces? Because, I mean, if you think that you can stop people from talking about issues that...
So, ma'am, this will be my last question to you. Looking at the general Nigerian system, I have always asked every female stakeholder that has come on my show to educate the women folks on our position in the country's progress. What's your advice, or what advice do you have for women in our society in terms of responsibility for nation building?
That's a very good question. First of all, women need to get educated.
Okay.
There are too many out of school. We've made a lot of progress. That's what we need to do more. We need to keep our girls in school, because when you educate a girl child, you are educating a family, and when you educate
Can you please speak a little bit louder?
Okay, when you educate the girl child, you are educating the family, and in turn, the direct impact is on the community and the society at large. So we need to keep our girls in school. Okay. 2, we also need to help them to understand that we are all equal citizens in Nigeria. So nobody is more equal than another in Nigeria on the basis of their gender. So there's no need for discrimination on basis of gender. But we know that that is not the reality. And so in every space that we find ourselves as women, we must know that we are carrying a burden for our gender, and so we must always put our best foot forward. We must represent ourselves properly, engage issues devoid of emotions, but intellectually showing that we can deliver on what we say we can. So if you are given a task, make sure that you deliver on the task. If you're given a responsibility, make sure that you act responsibly, because you're building a bridge that others who are coming behind will follow. Also, in terms of nation building, if you realize women are the larger percentage of voters, but when it comes to political office, the same does not apply. And so, can we clap with one hand, like one of my mentors, the Lucy Fayemi, will say, you can't clap with one hand. So we need a synergy for both male and female to have a balanced society. So we need inclusion. A woman should be in every decision-making space, because we bring a different perspective to decision-making. And so we need inclusion, we need diversity. The country is diverse enough, but we need diversity and the difference that women bring to the table. So every woman should rise up to the role of nation building. It's our responsibility. We can't shy away from that.
All right. Many thanks, Mrs. Olorunfemi. It's been a great honor having you on air today via our phone lines. Thanks for honoring my invite despite the short notice. I really appreciate that. I admire your degree of law professionalism and the love to career you have built. More feathers to your cap, and I wish you a successful career ahead as you fulfill your mandate to the NBA. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with me today.
Thank you very much, Ike.
Yes.